Hey guys, welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be telling you about the new rule regarding the H1B that came out. In fact, two new rules. And a lot of people have created misconceptions regarding this online in the form of videos or articles. I've seen all of them, a lot of them don't really give you the full picture. They're telling you the wrong information, or they're not really telling you exactly what's going on. So in this video, I'm going to make sure that I tell you exactly what's going on, exactly how it affects you, and exactly whether you should be worried or not. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about. Okay, so let's talk about this over here. US visa, two new rules make it harder for firms to hire H1B workers. Okay, and you guys might know that the US on Tuesday issued two new rules that make it harder for US companies to employ people on H1B non-immigrant visas. Okay, again, they're just telling you that this move happened 1 month before the elections, and it can really hurt Indian technology firms. Let me tell you what's going on and how it actually is going to impact you. See, the one thing that is very important for you to understand over here is, as per the interim final rules, which have been issued without any notice period or right to comment, the US Department of Homeland Security and DHS have changed the definition of specialty occupation and employee-employer relationship, as well as limited the validity of H-1B visa to 1 year instead of the earlier 3 years for a tech worker placed at a third-party site. That's a lot of information in there, and I want to take up maybe 5 minutes just explaining this information, because it is literally that important. Okay, so let me actually tell you what's going on over here. You see, as per the interim final rules, whenever there's some interim rule proposed, right, what happens in the US is that people get 60 days to comment on this rule, or they can basically comment on it and take it in court if they're being impacted by it. Now, this, however, is not the case today. When we're talking about these new rules that DHS has implemented, they have been implemented right now. There's no right to comment. You can check it out over here. They say, without any notice period or right to comment. Okay, so they haven't given us any notice period, they haven't given us any right to comment, and they have just simply implemented this rule. I don't even know if that's legal or not, but either way, that's been done right now. Okay, and that's what's the most disheartening part, because you guys cannot contest it, and people cannot really just go ahead and contest it so easily. There's really been a very high level of unfairness in this, I believe. Okay, but anyway, apart from that, what are these changes? Because people are also not really sure about what these changes are, and they're making the wrong mindset about these changes. They don't really know what's going on. So I'll tell you about those now. So you see, the first change over here that you can see is the definition of specialty occupation. So they're kind of constraining the definition of specialty occupation, and they want to make sure that only the people who are really rare, who are not found in the US, are people with such skills who are not already found in the US, only they should be able to avail these schemes of the H-1B, because H-1B is essentially for specialty workers. So now they want to make sure that when companies hire someone, well, earlier this case used to be the case, but they want to make it more strict. So when companies hire someone, they have to prove to them that there's no other person in the US nearby who can fulfill this requirement that we have, and this H-1B worker would fulfill this requirement. The skill that this person has is kind of rare, and that's what they had to prove to DHS. But now, at this point of time, they are making it more strict. So they're constraining the definition of specialty workers. It's going to be even more narrow, and you're going to have to maybe take up harder procedures to actually go ahead and prove that. The details of exactly how that's going to be done, or how many rejection rates, how the rejection rates may be increasing, are still not out there yet. So that's one thing that you need to know. They're still not confirmed, and a lot of things are yet to be announced by DHS this week. Okay, the next thing that I want to tell you about is this. They have also talked about the employee-employer relationship. They want to make it more strict. They want to make sure that it's solely work-based and not someone doing a personal favor to someone else, such that maybe I am an employer in the US and you are my friend, so I can give you a job. That shouldn't happen. So employee-employer relationship will be closely taken a look at, and that's one more thing. Okay, and apart from that, the limited validity of H1B visas to 1 year. This is what is being really misunderstood, I would say, at this point. A lot of people don't really understand this point because they just read it till here. The H1B is now 1 year. No, that's not it. Okay, so H1B used to be 3 years, you already know, and let's say that you wanted to get an extension, you could still get an extension on that as well. But now what they're saying is only if a tech worker is placed at a third party work site, that's when the H1B is, let's say, 1 year long now. Okay, so you can still get an extension, but chances are they're going to be doing a lot more scrutiny. But at the same time, let me actually explain the meaning of this third party work site. Okay, so a lot of companies, let's say there's a company who's into maybe PR, or there's something, they're basically not into something technical, anything, maybe they sell orange juice. Okay, and now they need to make their application, which basically would help them increase their revenue. So people can install their application and they can order orange juice at their doorstep anytime. Okay, so now this company that makes orange juice, they basically go to some other company, and they ask them to make their application. For instance, they may go to TCS, they may go to Infosys, right? They may go to Accenture, something like that, and they would go to one of these companies and they would say, hey, we basically have this product of orange juice and we want to sell it to other people, so we need a phone application for that, mobile application. And they'll say, okay, sure, we have the staff, we can do it for you. So what they'll do is, let's say they go to TCS will send an employee to them, okay, or maybe a team of employees to them. They'll say that, okay, we're sending you some on-site people, so they will work in your office, or near your office, or at the same time. What they'll do is they'll basically have direct interaction with you, and they will help you create the application, and you can pay us for that. Okay, so that's what TCS would do. They would basically send some people on an H1B. Those people would go ahead, do the project, and they would basically come back then. But usually these projects could be lasting more than 1 year as well. And the thing is that over here, those employees that came to actually make the application for that orange juice company, those are on a third party, those are basically third party workers, right? Because you can say that the first party is the orange juice company, second party is the TCS, and the third party worker is basically the people who come over there in the US to actually make the application. So for these people, and only for these people, service based companies only, who are doing client based servicing, client servicing really. Now if you're in one of these companies, or you're going to go into one of these companies, now remember, this rule is just out yet, so it does not impact the people who were who were already on an H1B, who already had their visa stamp. You won't be impacted. But let's say today, if someone is going into one of these companies where they'll be servicing another client, then their H1B is going to be 1 year long only, and not 3 years long. Okay, but otherwise, if you're going for, let's say, a product based company, if you're developing your own in-house product at that company, right? You're not servicing basically any other client. You're not going to their location and servicing them. Well, that's going to mean that you still have a 3-year H1B. So again, like I said, the details and exactly how it's going to go down is not yet out, but it's something that you need to keep in mind. You basically need this clarification, right? And keep this clarification in mind, such that the kind of companies you want to target should be the ones that can help you get this longer H1B. Okay, and there's one more rule that is very harmful. We'll talk about that as well. So this rule allows for increased workplace monitoring, improved compliance, while the minimum wage levels at which H1B employees can be hired have also been increased significantly. So now, the one more thing that can harm you the most is this. Okay, a lot of companies used to do this. They would hire H1B workers just because they were cheaper than the other workers. That is the American average worker, right? So they would hire these H1B workers for less amount of money, and then they would use them to, of course, do the same projects. This is not something that President Trump liked a lot. And recently when he came out of his COVID, situation, he's still of course infected, I believe. But as soon as he was discharged from the hospital, he basically came ahead with these rules. One of the reasons may be that one of these judges, Jeffrey White from California, I believe, he had annulled his uh, rule from June the 6th, I believe. That was that, all of these H1Bs have to be banned till the end of this year and all of that. So that's why I think he came out with this rule. It's definitely making H1Bs a lot more unattractive to the employers, when they have to go through all of this process at the same time. And secondly, the wages have been increased. So they're saying that, you have to pay this worker more than this amount of money. Okay, so for every job, for every location, there's gonna be a particular average salary. Okay, let's say that you're in California, maybe near Los Angeles, and you're making about $100,000. Well, they're gonna make it $140,000. That's a minimum requirement for the H1B now. So you can't really do anything about it. Either you go ahead and get a job which offers you more than $140,000 per annum, or you can go back. That's how it's going to work. And this is for the new people, of course, not for the people who are already on the H1B, but only for the people who are coming in. Because apparently Trump says that, these people are, taking up a huge part of our jobs. And at this point of time, the economy needs more jobs for the American workers. So no new ones should be entertained. So that's what's going on. This can actually be very, very bad for the H1B. Trust me, this is the worst thing because, if employers start following this regime that they have to pay you more than the average American worker, then you can be assured that they would not be able to go ahead and afford you, because the point is that the company wants the work done in the minimum amount of money possible, right? And if they can afford someone for $120,000 and that's an American worker, and they have an option of affording you, but you cost $140,000, why would they want to go ahead and waste that extra 20,000, right? So that's one thing that you need to understand. That's the biggest and the worst thing that can happen to the H1B. But apart from that, all of these rules are equally bad in my opinion. None of them should be implemented just like they did over here. No 60-day notice period, nothing else, and they just implemented it right now at this moment. Okay, so that's the worst part. But apart from that, I've already been keeping you up to date. A lot of companies are against this. In fact, NASCOM went so far as to say these regulations seem to be based on misinformation about the program and run counterproductive to their very objective of saving the American economy and jobs. There's also some facts that you need to know. This is particularly relevant at a time when US businesses continue to face a huge deficit of STEM skills. Overall, US unemployment grew from 4.1% to 8.4% between January and August. But at the same time, the unemployment in computer occupations has declined from 3% to 2.5% in this period. So basically, the computer applications and computer occupations, the unemployment is decreased already. So that means that there is definitely a dearth of jobs. A dearth of STEM people over there. So it's very, very counterintuitive in that sense. But at the same time, a lot of companies are against this. They're saying that while the US is currently a superpower in these terms, that they have the highest tech workers, highest STEM field workers, well, that can change if these rules do not go away. Okay, and this apparently they say that this is for the COVID-19 only. They want to make sure that the COVID-19 pandemic does not affect the American worker, but they did not put an end date to it. They did not say when this is going to be over, when these rules stop applying. No such thing was mentioned apparently, and that's the worst part. If this is permanent, then it's really going to hurt the US as well. Okay, so these are the changes I wanted to talk to you about. I hope that I gave you the clear picture. It's important that you have the clear picture in your mind. If you like the content that I produce over here, I want you to subscribe to the channel. Okay, I've done a lot of research on it, and give me a thumbs up, and thank you so much for spending 15 minutes with me over here. I'll see you in the next one.